Hey YouTube, Full Throttle here with a new video. Sorry that I couldn't get out a video yesterday. It was just some personal issues that were happening yesterday, but I'll be sure to get this one out hopefully today, which is Monday. So yeah, let's get right into the video. Alright, so first up we have as our starter, Young Executive Crime Bug. Crime Bug is its forerunner, obviously, and then act, put it into the soul, and then stun an opponent's rear guard, and then, well, it's rest an opponent's rear guard, stun it, and that unit can't intercept until the end of the turn. So yeah, that's pretty good. Then we have, obviously, 4 heals. I used Brand Plea because they were the only they were the only heals I had left, and also I like the artwork. It's pretty nice artwork. Because I already used 4 of my machining heals, and I don't have any of the GPTO4 heals, ironically enough. Yeah, I like this artwork. It's pretty nice. And then we have 4 copies of Earth Dreamer, Stand Trigger. It's auto, Generation Break 1 on the rearguard circle. The cost is to put it on the top of the deck. At the beginning of the opponent's ride phase, if the number of their rearguards at rest is 3 or more, then you may pay the cost, and if you do, shuffle your deck and draw 2 cards. So that means that, well, so that means that you can get an extra, you get a +1 for having stuff stunned, and then also, this is actually pretty funny, since this happens at the beginning of the opponent's ride phase, and Plegaton happens at the beginning of the opponent's ride phase, you can have, because, I haven't checked up on this, but you can have it so that your opponent, when they ride Plegaton, then you could in fact use like Darkface's Generation Break 2 3 times from the 3 things they called from Plegaton and Night Mist to you could rest them all, and then you would just still draw from Earth Dreamer, which is kind of funny, but you would have to have a lot of soul for that. So not exactly practical yet. Alright, so then we run 8 crit. We run 3 Shelter Beetle from the Comic Style Volume 1, 3 Sharp Nail Scorpio from BTO4, then 2 Bad Drip from GBTO4. So yeah, that is our Grade 0 lineup. Now into the Grade 1s. Alright, so for our Grade 1 lineup, we run 4 Star Shield, the countercharging Perfect Guard. Gone over it before in my my machining deck profile. 4 Little Dorcas. It's Stride Fighter that when it's called, we've already gone over this except for the first skill, which is you choose a grade 3 from your hand, reveal it. When it's called, you can search for a Darkface, and then you discard a card from your hand. Then 4 Machining Mosquito. It's when it's placed on Vanguard circle or rearguard circle, then Soul Charge 1. It's pretty good, pretty important at Darkface though. So yeah, because Darkface needs its soul. And then we got 2 copies of Brilliant Blister, which is when it's placed on the Guardian circle from hand, choose one of your opponent's rearguards, and that unit cannot, well, your opponent's vanguards, sorry. Your opponent's choose one of your opponent's vanguards, and that unit cannot stand until during that turn. So that means that it's restand or hate, and there's the only other option would be like Scissor Fingers, but if you're going against a lot of, because my meta has quite a bit of Overlord, this is really good because you can just drop this down and and that's just automatically just stops the legend, stops the great. So yeah, great card. Alright, so now let's get into the Grade 2s. Alright, so for the Grade 2s, we run 4 copies of Charming Mutant Sweet Cocktail. It's auto, rearguard circle, Generation Break 1, Counterblast 1. When it's when it attacks the Vanguard, if it's boosted, you may pay the cost. Then if you do, then you choose one of your opponent's rearguards, rest it, and until the end of the turn, that unit cannot, oh yeah, it Giga Paralyzes, and then it also makes it unable to intercept. So yeah, it's pretty good. And Giga Paralyzing is making it so that when it's their stand phase and it doesn't stand. Well, at the end of their turn, when it is at rest, the opponent can draw a card. So that means that even if they get a stand trigger, this can still activate if they attack with it or boost with it, so it's great. Or Buster Mantis, because Buster Mantis is a 12k attacker. It can attack anything, which is kind of pointless. So it's like, because the deck doesn't want to attack rear guards, it wants to attack Vanguard. And then 3 Toxic Trooper. Toxic Trooper is when it attacks, all of your opponent's units cannot intercept until the end of the turn. This is great because one of the things that a lot of people would do against Megacolony is just intercept, and they can intercept now. So yeah, that's great. Great card. Probably gonna still run this. Probably not gonna run this or this. Probably not gonna run these two after the technical booster drops. But this is definitely staying, or at least probably staying, because this is getting replaced by Aristicite. This is getting replaced by Punish Stag, because this costs a counterblast, and the deck is very counterblast heavy already. So Punish Stag will make this outdated. This will be replaced by Aristicite, which is easier to activate and attacks for 11k and can go for early game. So yeah, better to use that. But this doesn't really have anything to replace it. Like, Laferte is pretty good though, so yeah. But Laferte is also not going to be replacing anything other than like Brilliant Blister. So yeah, now let's get into the grade 3s. Alright, so for the grade 3s, we run 4 copies of Intimidating Mutant Darkface. Darkface is first up, Generation Break 2 on the Vanguard Circle, Soul Blast 2, which is why we run that Soul Charge. During your when your opponent's unit is placed on the rearguard circle, you may pay the cost. If you do, rest it. This is good for when the opponent puts down something to replace a stunned unit. Boom, it's rested still, so that's a moot point. Then also, for example, if you're going against something if they're just calling out their whole field for a finishing push, you can just rest their front row, and then they have nothing to attack with except for their Vanguard. So that's nice. And then also auto Vanguard Circle counterblast 1 during your turn. When your G unit strides, you may pay the cost. If you do, choose 2 of your opponent's rear guards, rest them, and then till the end of the opponent's turn, Giga Paralyze them. So at the end of the opponent's turn, if they're rested, draw a card, and then they can't stand during your opponent's next stand phase. So yeah, makes it so it's a nice little. It's a Giga Paralyze, which is pretty nice. And then 4 copies of Unrivaled Blade Rogue Cyclone-Tooth. Now I've seen some people use the Legion. I'm personally not a fan of the Legion, because that Legion is honestly a bad card, because while it is a Legion and the deck does tend to run out of a lot of cards in its deck because it draws so much, the problem is that Cyclone-Tooth is more that it would always be better to ride Darkface, but if you have to ride Cyclone-Tooth, it's way better than having to ride something else, because Cyclone-Tooth then makes your transition from Break Ride into Darkface so much easier. So yeah, pretty good. It's Break Ride, stun everything on your opponent's field. So yeah, pretty cool, and it's free. And then during your turn, if all your opponent's Vanguard and rear guards are rested, then this gets plus 2,000 power, and it also has Lords. So but that's not really relevant anymore. So yeah, unless you're playing Extreme Fight. So yeah, that is the grade 3s. Now let's get into the grade 4s, so the G units. Alright, so for the grade 4s, we have 4 copies of Wildfire Mutant Deity Staggle-Dipper. Staggle-Dipper is a great card in Darkface, just a great card, because it fulfills 2 purposes. It's well, actually 3 purposes for the deck, which is really nice. First up, Counterblast 1, so it's act, Counterblast 1 once per turn. Counterblast 1, choose a face down card from your G zone, turn face up, so that you can activate Generation Break 2 for Darkface. Then choose up to 3 of your units, and until end of turn, they get plus 1,000 power for each of your opponent's units in rest. So that means that it's a better Soul Saver Dragon, which is pretty nice. And then, yeah, so it provides Generation Break 2 for Darkface, can flip over any copies of Stun Beetle if you need to, and then it also has a finishing push for the deck, which is good. So yeah, we got that. We got 4 copies of Stun Beetle. Stun Beetle is Counterblast 2, Persona Flip, Generation Break 2. When it hits, you may pay the cost. If you do, your opponent's Vanguard is stunned and the opponent can't normal ride. So yeah, that's pretty nice. And then Deforestation, 2 Deforestation Mutant Deity, Jaggy Devil. I don't really like the card. I just run it because I'm honestly a little lazy, so I couldn't really, it's a little lazy, so I couldn't really get more copies of the next card in here. So yeah, I would definitely prefer 2 more Paraspear, but I'm just too lazy to get them because they're so cheap that buying just 2 really cheap cards online just feels really redundant. So yeah, when this unit's attack hits a Vanguard, then choose a rear guard in your opponent's front row and back row, and those units cannot stand. So it stuns rear guards in each row. So yeah, that's pretty nice. So yeah, we have then our next card, Paraspear, 2 copies. We run 2 copies of Paraspear because it is a pretty nice card. It's rest all of your opponent's units. Then if 3 or more of your opponent's units are in rest, then you can draw a card, and this gets plus 5k. So yeah, that's nice. And then 2 copies of Scarab Gas. Scarab Gas is, I've already gone over it. Great card. Great G card. It's one of the easiest ones to go off, other than Nigman Patriot. And then 1 Dismal for having to go against Dimension Police that use Laurel or Draconic Overlord of the Cross, but Draconic Overlord of the Cross can be destroyed by stuff. So Dismal isn't as important in this deck because you have other stuff, but still pretty nice to have. And then we also run Screw. Screw is a nice card. It's also been gone over in previous deck profiles, so I shouldn't have to go over that. So yeah, let's go into the next part. Alright, thank you for watching. If you like this video, give it a like. If you have any suggestions for like future videos, like future stuff to try and do, then yeah, put that in the comments. If you have any like suggestions for the deck, put that in the comments. If you have any like ideas, if you want to, I don't know, do a collaboration or something, put that in the comments. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe. If you want to see games involving any of these decks that I've posted on this channel so far, then subscribe, because I'll try and get those in to this I'll try and get those kinds of videos onto this channel soon. So yeah, this is Full Throttle going out at top speed, signing off. Bye.